Welcome everybody, Steve here. Thanks for joining in today. Outside it's really cold, it's snowing, it's blowing. I'm looking for an indoor project. You know, it's kind of warm in my shop, it's not too bad. So I can do something in here that, you know, you take care of kind of the little things that you always wanted. And one thing I always wanted to build was just a little, plain little simple step, you know, for my kitchen. As you get a little older, it's a little hard to reach way up to get your favorite beverage, or as well, I can't reach my fire alarm, my smoke detector, you know, to push the button when I'm cooking. So I'm going to build a step. And this has been years in the planning. Well, no, last 5 minutes, but I have been planning it for 5 years at least. I've got this little extra piece of plywood here. So we're going to put a couple handles on it. I'm going to bring it up, put a couple handles on there so you can move it around easy. And I'm going to have about a 10.5-inch step by, or 14-inch by 10.5 deep step. So the first thing we're going to do is this little piece of scrap's about 15 by 4. I'm going to pick the straightest edge here, and I'm just building this out of plywood. Just want to show you that, you know, plywood's one of those things that you can build everything out of it. It's really, really strong. It's stable. It's not going to split and break on you. And then what we're going to do we are going to edge it. We'll put a little bit of edging on here. You won't even notice that it's plywood. Hey, where was I? Oh yeah. Pick the straightest edge, and my biggest dimension is going to be 11.5. We'll head over to the table saw, and we're just going to cut all the way down 11.5. Well, we've got everything cut out. This is for my step here. This will be the supports that go underneath the step. Now we got to kind of figure out what we really want here. Now I know for sure that I'm going to put a handle in here. And I'm going to use this jig here. Now, if you do things more than like 4 times, build yourself a jig. Because you're going to keep, you know, the time saving is just unbelievable. And I've used this for so many projects. Like, it's getting wore out. It's a little bit oblong, but it still works fine for a handle. And, you know, I'm not building something, you know, an heirloom or anything like that here. It's plywood. So we'll set that up. Now we have some options here. Of course, my step's going to go straight up and down. If you want a real fancy step, you could just put a little bit of an angle on there. That's totally up to you, but you know, that goes from a grade 6 to a grade 8 project. And I want to keep this as simple as we can. So, I'm gonna mark here. Basically, I just line it up with center, draw it out. I got my handle. Now, down the bottom here, I kind of want it to go like this. Just give it a bit of an architectural look. Plus, when you have a little smaller feet, then there's a little less chance of it rocking. And use whatever you got. This is a roll of duct tape. That might be a little small. This is some auto body filler. Yeah, that might look alright. Come up about 4.5 inches. Where are we at here? Anyway, something like that. And then we'll just kind of keep this kind of straightish here. So what I'll end up doing is just cutting this out, and then I'll use that to trace onto my next one. Okay, I'm going to screw around here for a bit, make some final decisions, and then I'll show you what I come up with. Okay, I kind of got a plan on this one. I got it a little nicer on this one. So, I don't want my top to be flat. It kind of looks ugly. I put a little bit of a whoop-de-doo in there, a little S-curve. And I had this pattern. I've had this thing for 30 years or something like that. I don't know. But I think it was for, you know, a trellis or something like that, you know. But it's going to work fine for this. So all I did was just made a mark where it was going to look kind of half-assed decent. Laid it on there, give her a little S-curve, and I think that's going to look nice for the handle. You can see here, it's where the step is going to go, and right here is where the little cleats are going to go. I think that's going to work out okay. So I'm going to get cutting on this. Now the first thing I want to do is do the handle here. The reason I want to do the handle is this is flat here. I've got a little cleat here so that this can't move. Right? So if I went and cut this the S-curve out of there, then I've got nothing really to secure to. It would just kind of be flopping around a little bit. So we'll drill those out. Get this one set up properly. And then we'll drill them out. And then we can router them out. And then all it is now from that point on is just jigsaw work. Keeping it simple. And then we've got to edge it. Now all we do is just take our flush trimming bit and trim it out. Now that I'm all set up here, I'm going to take the opportunity to use a 1/4 inch round over bit and round over the inside of the handle. Now it's time to cut her up. Now I'm just using that's a pretty coarse, it's about all I got. But I've got my jigsaw set so that it doesn't oscillate as much. So I'll get a pretty clean cut, but it's still plywood. So let's get at her. Let's go slow. Time to do a little pre-assembly. Now we're not going to put this thing all together until we get it all nice and sanded. It'd be almost impossible to do. But here's my thinking. So we have our side. I'm going to put a couple of number 20 biscuits in here for a little added strength. And instead of drilling from this side and then having to plug the holes up, I'm going to use the pocket jig and drill it in, and then it'll be in underneath and you won't even know that they're there. It'll be kind of nice. It's a nice thing about the pocket hole jig. And then underneath my step for the brace, same thing. Just going to use the pocket jig, screw it in. But what I did, I offset the first one, the one that's going to be up against here, a little further out. And the reason I did that is because you got to get your drill in there to be able to screw it in. And if it's hitting up against the side there, you're just going to be rattling around on the head of the screw, and that's no good. So we're going to do some pocket holes here, and then when I do my biscuits, I'll show you what I did real quick. Basically, when I set it up, I've got this so that it's going to be right flat on the bottom here. And then when I put my biscuit in here, all I have to do is just line the bottom up with that, put my biscuit in there. Some good thinking right there. Alright, got lots going on here. time for us to kind of get into the finishing part of this before we put it together. Now I'm leaving mine flat. You could, you know, there's nothing wrong with plywood, but a lot of times there's a little void in there. You could round this over. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I think down the road I'll probably end up painting this. But what I'm going to do for this project is I'm going to use the veneer tape. Just like that. And then my edge is all finished up. Now there's a couple of different ways you could do this. You know, I could just take and put some filler on here. Some auto body filler is my choice. Or even some drywall compound. You can sand it smooth, give it a little paint job you wouldn't even know. But I just want to take it and just go simple with it with the tape. And when you paint it, you're never gonna know. Now, I know this is just plywood, but it's gonna get all beat up. That's why I'm kind of going with plywood. Down the road, if I wanted something made out of black walnut, well, now I've got a pattern. I'm one of these guys that just likes to kind of blow into a project, kind of think along the way. So you do that with black walnut, you make a mistake, and it could cost you some bucks. So, great idea here. If you're thinking about a project and you're not too sure, build it out of plywood first, and then when you're thinking to yourself, yeah, this is exactly what I want, then you go ahead and pay the money for the nice wood. But to put this on, this needs to be pretty good. Now, especially when you're coming in on a corner like this with a jigsaw, you'll use a little bit of a whoop-de-doo there. You want to make sure you use a block sander and get it all nice and straight and all nice and even so that it's going to stick properly. Now the last thing you need is for this stuff to start lifting on you a year down the road or whatever. Doesn't take very long. So we'll get that done. And I've got an old iron. I'll pull it out and we'll iron on some of this stuff, finish it all up, and then we can put it together. Now there's a lot of different methods of taking the edge off of this laminate tape here. I just like to take a block of sandpaper and just kind of follow down and kind of go in a bit of an angle and push kind of in towards the piece a little bit. And just take your time. They got these fancy little things that can cut it. Sometimes it'll split on you, but fix that with a little bit of glue and some sawdust. And then I'll just finish it off at the palm center. Now I got the palm sander out with the, I don't know, it's about 280, something real fine. I'm just cutting the edges. The veneer is thick enough that you can sand it and actually slightly round over the edge. Okay, I've got this one here marked 2. So we are going to just put a little tiny bit of glue, not a whole bunch. I'm running out here. Got a little bit of glue on this here, sticking out. I don't want it. I'll eyeball her up, make sure she looks good in center. I flipped this around. It didn't look as square as I wanted it to. So maybe I had the 2 in the wrong spot because I sanded it all off. I just tried to make a guess. Looks pretty good. Screw that together. I'm kind of excited to get this thing done. You wouldn't think a guy could get all excited about a little stool, but the fire alarm went off yesterday. I had to scramble for a chair, so this is going to be just perfect. Looks good. All right, now to decide where we want to put these. I think I'll probably go, a lot of it is just looks. Or does the guy go in a little further? No. Use it to cover up that other, the pocket screw hole. So we'll go down about 1/2 inch. That should be good. Okay, I'm gonna put these ones in first. That way it sucks it really tight to the step, and then I'll put the side ones in after. No glue. They're just there for support. I tell you what, these pocket screws, man, do they ever make life good. You know, they're not for everything. You know, if we were doing something real fancy here, you know, we'd have mortise, tenon, but we haven't got a week to work on it either. Maybe someday we'll do something with dovetails. One of my favoriteest things. Just takes so much time. There you have it. That's about as simple as it gets. And doesn't even wobble. Depends, I guess, which way I put it on my table. Can't wait to give it a try. Just give it a bit of a blow off. And I'm not too sure how I'm going to finish it, but if I can find a paint that looks like dirt, that'll probably work out really good for my situation. But that's going to be a welcome addition to the kitchen, to the house, and can't wait to give it a try. Well, I know we kept it simple today, but sometimes simple is the best. And till the next project, see you next time. Thanks for watching.